When are you going to have a baby? Who do you think is paying for your expensive treatment? You money-eating bitch.
My husband threw the divorce papers at me.
What's with that defiant look? I've been taking care of you until now, you worthless piece of shit. Why don't you thank me and get the hell out of here? You don't work and you can't procreate. Who would want to be with a defective old hack like you? At best, you crawl miserably through life.
I had been a housewife for 10 years and was abandoned at the age of 40 due to infertility. How was I supposed to live from then on? What saved me from losing the will to live was my beloved child who came into my life after the divorce. My son, who was like an angel smiling at me, called me Mom, and changed my life for the better. I never imagined that this angel was going to send my ex-husband to hell. My name is Kylie. My husband Josh and I were married for 10 years, and I was a full-time housewife. Both of us love children and look forward to having our own, but it was taking a long time. In the beginning, we were relaxed about it, saying it's blessing in disguise. When we were still childless after 5 years, we decided to undergo fertility treatment. Josh believed that it was something women undergo and that the inability to have children was a problem on the woman's side. He was definitely not cooperative. Furthermore, the treatment was expensive, and when he saw me frequently falling ill due to the side effects, he would say,
"Who do you think is paying for this? I'm not paying a lot of money so that you can fall sick in bed."
He always complained. After 5 years of treatment, he seemed to have lost patience. Despite the best efforts of both myself and my doctor, I was unable to conceive a child, and the cost of treatment just kept mounting. Frustrated by the situation, he finally asked for a divorce. I tried to talk to him and asked him to reconsider several times. He had probably already given up on me, so he refused to have a talk. At the age of 40, I was going to throw a divorce and become single again. I felt as if there was a gaping hole in my chest, but I worked hard to survive. When I was going through the treatment, I got a part-time job to help cover the expensive bills. Fortunately, I was able to continue working the same job, and they even gave me more hours after I explained the situation. In addition, my manager had been talking about promoting me to a full-time position for a while, so he submitted my application to the head office for me. My days passed quickly and frantically from then on. About a month after I left Josh, my life was drastically changed again. My best friend from high school was in a fatal car accident with her husband. We used to share our joys and sorrow together. Throughout the time I was having trouble conceiving until the divorce we filed, she was always by my side. At first, I could not believe that she was gone. It sounded surreal, but as soon as I saw her face at the funeral, I felt as if the colors had vanished from the world. As I was leaving the funeral home, dizzy and haste, someone caught my eye. A small curled-up figure on the side of the parking lot. I had met him several times. He must have just entered elementary school. I had no idea how big he had become. The small figure that was frozen in time was my late best friend's son, Oliver. My chest tightened to see the way he sat there with his knee to his chin and stared blankly at the ground. I wondered what was going to happen to him who had lost his parents and was suddenly alone. Both of his late parents had no surviving family members, and they didn't have any close relatives. I was afraid that he would be sent around to one foster family after another. I couldn't bear the thought, and offered to take him in at that point. As an outsider, I thought I might have caused a stir for saying such a thing, but it was granted relatively easily after agreeing not to ask for any help in any way. Oliver also agreed to live with me without hesitation. After that, things just fell into place, and I took in the huge responsibility to raise him alone. As expected, My life as I knew, it was gone. Every day was like a storm, and I realized how hard it was to care for a child. I grew a deep respect for all the parents in the world. My days were dazzling busy, but also joyful. Oliver and I fought from time to time, but I gave him the maximum amount of love I could. He grew up without any serious illness or injury. After nearly 10 years of living together, he had just started high school. We were out shopping for dinner when we bumped into Josh. He looked surprised to see Oliver standing next to me, but then he started speaking mockingly.
You, why do you have such a big son? Were you cheating on me?
Hey, don't make such a vile accusation. This is...
I knew it. He must be the child of your affair. Otherwise, you wouldn't have such a grown son.
Stop it. I never cheated on you, and only the two of us have been living together. Anyway, he is my... I tried to explain, but he interrupted me every time. He never listened to others when he believed something was wrong, but I thought he got worse than before. He gave me a creepy smirk while he spoke.
Oh my God, you were dumped by your cheating partner, weren't you? Poor you. I bet you must be having a hard time since you weren't really making money.
You idiot. You're so rude. Josh, perhaps amused that I was offended, continued to smirk at me. It was about to walk away from his insensitive guy when I noticed something odd. Why did he assume that I had a child with another man? He knew very well that I was on infertility treatment for 5 years, but never conceived. I asked him exactly what was on my mind. Why do you think he's my child? You know I'm infertile, don't you? So why do you think I had a child with another man?
I'm just guessing.
Even if I had cheated on you, you know I can't get pregnant. That's why we got divorced. Do you happen to forget such an important thing?
Yeah, that's right. How many years has it been since we divorced?
It was suspicious. He was staring at me condescendingly just a moment ago, but his eyes started to shift. My suspicion grew by the sudden change of his attitude. Is there something you're holding back from me?
I'm not hiding anything.
Really? I took a step toward him, and he took a step back. When I stared at his face, he made an awkward expression and started to explain. What he said was surprising. After we got divorced, one of his colleagues told him about male infertility. He was curious, so he got tested and found that he had abnormal sperm function. In other words, he was the cause of infertility. He had been reluctant to participate in the treatment with me, so we were unable to have a child. So, you mean I couldn't conceive because...
Yeah, it was my fault.
Oh my God.
You were mocking me for not being able to give you a child, weren't you? That's why you cheated on me and left me, wasn't it?
Excuse me? He was calm at first, but as he spoke, his voice grew louder and louder. His emotions seemed to be building up.
You knew I had a problem, weren't you? That's why you found someone else.
Wait a minute. Oliver is my late best friend's son. She died in an accident, so I took him in, and I've been raising him as my adopted son.
Shut up! Shut up! That's a lie. You've always been a flirt. You must be lured some guy. You useless bitch.
No matter how hard I tried to explain to him, he didn't listen to me. I was at a loss as to what to do. He was shouting at me at that point. His words became more and more abusive. People were glancing at us. I felt very uncomfortable. When I was about to speak, Oliver, who had been quietly watching our exchange next to me, spoke up.
Please, stop insulting my mother. What the hell? If you continue being rude to her, I will call the police.
Josh flinched as Oliver flashed his phone at him. After glaring at him resentfully, Josh said nothing, but just clicked his tongue and walked away. Thank you, sweetheart.
If you ever need help, just call me. He seemed illogical, so it's not safe for you to talk to him alone.
But...
No but, it's dangerous.
Okay. I couldn't believe that my son had come to my rescue. I thought he was still a child, but I was unexpectedly moved by how much he had grown up. Several more years passed. Oliver was about to graduate from university, and it was time for him to look for a job. We had planned to dine out together after his job interview. He was running late, so I was waiting for him at our meeting point when Josh appeared in front of me.
Yo, Grace.
Josh? He still had a nasty smirk as before, but his clothes were tattered and his shoes had holes. The way he appeared was so disheveled that I wouldn't have recognized him unless he called out to me. As I stood there, unable to say anything from the shock, Josh staggered close to me.
Hey, honey, why don't we get remarried and live together again?
What?
Yes, let's do that. Let's live together.
Unable to grasp his incoherent demand, I just stood there like a statue. He was getting closer and closer. When his hand touched my shoulder, I jerked back and bumped into someone. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm okay. Are you alright?
The older man looked at me with concern, as if he sensed something strange in the air. The man glanced at Josh and was about to say something.
Hey, you! Stay away from my mother!
Oliver, who had just arrived, stepped in between me and Josh.
Ugh, good timing. I'm going to be your father, so you're going to have to support me, you understand? What the hell?
What are you talking about?
A child who was abandoned by his parents and didn't grow up feeling their love must be facing a hard life. Probably you can't even find a good job and will live like a loser. If you can't be happy living in poverty, you should at least be a good son and devote yourself to your father.
You're making no sense. If it was only about me, I could put it up with it, but to make fun of him is abominable. My vision was distorted with rage. He knew nothing about us and had no right to speak about us. I clenched my fist in frustration. Oliver seemed to be indignant as well. Perhaps he was hurt to be taught unfairly during a sensitive time in his job search. He bit his lip in frustration. I had to protect him. When I glared at Josh with all the hate in the world, the man who had been quietly watching us spoke calmly.
With all due respect, this young man has already been accepted by my company. You should have received a call today.
Huh?
What are you talking about, old man? You had nothing to do with us, so don't get involved. I actually do. I assume I have more to do with him than you. Oh, I'm sorry. I have introduced myself.
The man took out his business card. Josh was astounded when he read it and looked at the man's face and the card over and over again. When I looked at the card, the title, Chief Executive Officer, was written on it. The company name was the same as Oliver's first choice. Both he and I were too stunned to say anything. The man continued to speak in the same calm manner.
I was friends with Oliver's late father before his death. We used to play golf together, and I used to visit his house. Oliver was very young, so I don't think he remembers me. I played with you too, Oliver. After your parents passed away, I heard that a friend of your late mother took you in. You've been raised by a wonderful person. I can see the shadow of your late father, not only in your appearance, but in your kind heart. He had a strong sense of justice, too. The three of us intently listened to the man. He looked at Oliver compassionately and then moved his eyes upon Josh. His calm voice abruptly changed,
and he started to speak sternly.
Oliver has grown up to be a very fine man raised by her and his late parents. On the contrary, how about you? You curse others in such a blunt manner in a public place? Before you speak ill of him, you should reflect on yourself in the mirror. Shut up, old man! Don't get too comfortable with me just because I listened to your story.
Turning red, Josh drew closer to the man. When he was about to grab the man's neck, his hands were stopped by other hands.
Hey, calm down. Come with us. Let's talk over there.
Surprised by the sudden appearance of the police, I glanced at Oliver, who was holding out his phone. I wondered when he had called them. I was being protective while I was trying to protect him. It wasn't the right time to be emotional, but I was moved by Oliver's maturity. He was not a little child to be protected anymore.
Mom, are you okay?
I looked at him with a strange feeling of happiness and sadness. He stared back at me curiously. I'm fine, thank you. His stiffened expression relaxed as he was relieved. After that, Josh was out of control for a little while, but the police took him down. He was taken away with his head hung down as if he had given up. I have not seen him since then. I heard through the rumor that he remarried a such younger colleague after divorcing me, but they were unable to have a child. His wife was very insistent, and he reluctantly told her about his infertility. She wanted a child so badly that she was outraged by him for not telling her earlier, and they divorced. In addition, all the complaints she made to her colleagues started circulating at work, and he was too ashamed to keep working there. He resigned from his job, but he was having a hard time finding new employment. He had to make do with a part-time job to survive. It was during that time he happened to run into me again, and that was how the whole thing came to be. I don't know where he is and what he is doing now, but I sure hope he'll never appear in front of Oliver and me again. I have consulted with the police and have taken countermeasures just in case. Oliver got his own place after he landed on the job. We're still close and talk on phone every day. He's having a hard time getting used to his unfamiliar life, but he's determined to stand on his own feet. As for me, I fell in love at first sight with the CEO, who helped me at that time. I invited him to dinner as a way of thanking him, and we had an unexpectedly good time. Since we were both single, we've been meeting for lunch or dinner since then. Oliver is amazed by my excitement at being in love for the first time in a long while. He listens to me and gives me advice. He is a really good son. When Josh and I divorced, I had no idea such a life was awaiting me. You'll never know what life has in store for you.